Water is terrible, deceitful, and treacherous even. More so for animators, we only drink energy and back pain meds. What I'm getting at is making water in 3D, or maybe more so Blender, is not the easiest thing to do. At all. Relying on heavy simulation to get these insane results is so impressive, but often is overlooked the cheap, dirty, borderline stupid methods of creating water in a way that people will go, oh yeah, nice one, that's what that looks like. So I think the easiest example of this would be something like a running stream of water. This is easy enough to make it look good because this is how water works. So to make something simple like this, all you need is a cylinder, a displace modifier, and an empty. Make the displace modifier be controlled by an empty object and animate it from up to down. You need subdivisions for this to work, so do that. Then you can tweak with the displace settings, texture, strength, etc. And then this works well for a tap or something. So as simple as this is, you can achieve a really good effect. Yeah. When you look at actual streams, this is how they work. You have a lot of small movements which hold an overall shape. So the stream that I've made here, I've done the exact same thing as before, except I've given it two displace modifiers. One has a smaller texture for faster movements, and one is slightly bigger for some larger overall movements. If I turn them both on and off, you can kind of see the differences. It's simple enough, and I think can get you a really good result. So using this with that is good, but I want to focus on doing this at a slightly larger scale, and looking at getting really well represented detail on a water surface. So the first thing to do is eye up some reference. So when you first look at this, it can be overwhelming, there's a lot going on, but this can be really easy to break it down into different things. Especially for this, there are a bunch of repeated patterns and things we can easily translate into Blender. And if you do that, I think it's a lot easier to see how simple something like this can be. So first of all, I'm going to add a plane and scale it to the size that I want my water surface to be. Just like the previous things, I'm rushing straight to the displace modifier. We're going to be using basically the same setup as the last two things, but this time focusing a lot more on the layers of it. Your plane is going to need subdivisions, so give it a healthy amount, and once you have that, we can actually start doing the funny displacement stuff. So add a texture to your displacement, and by texture I mean clouds. It's always clouds, just clouds. You can play with the size and then change the strength to something a lot smaller. So this first layer, I just want to be completely still, static displacement. The next one, I want it to be not that. We're going to do small and very fast movements. So add another noise texture, tweak with the settings, until you get some smaller shapes that are closer to your reference. Now these ones are going to move, so now we need to add an empty object. You want to animate this in the direction your water is going. Make sure to right click on the timeline and select linear interpolation. This means you won't get any easing in or easing out. Change the coordinates to object on the displace modifier and then make that object the empty. Now this is already starting to look good, but again, this will look even better if we focus on adding some variation. So duplicate your displace modifier and click on the 2 to make it a separate thing. And then to add that variation, we can change the size of the texture and then make it slightly stronger. I like it, but I want this displace modifier to move separately to the smaller one. This is really easy to do. We just have to add another empty and animate it so it moves slower than this one, and then just reassign that displace modifier to that slower empty. I'm going to repeat this process one more time, tweaking the displace modifier so it's different to the other two, and re-adding another empty object so the movement also changes. And if you put all of this together, you get some really nice movement. The material is easy enough. I've done enough thinking today to be bothered to do anything fancy for this. So add a glass shader, and the only thing you need to do is change the IOR to 1.330. IOR means index of refraction, and changes how light bends through a material. Things get wacky if you use the wrong value, so make it 1.33. Why that number? I don't know. Take it up with God. So you can change the color of the water material a little bit, but what really makes this look good is the environment lighting. So we're going to be using HDRIs. I get mine off of Polyhaven. They're good. Change the shading tab from object to world and add an environment texture. This won't work with an image texture, so you got to use this one. If you're unhappy with the orientation, you can use Ctrl-T and spin it around a bit. This is looking pretty good with all the lighting, but we're still missing depth. Select the edges of your plane and just extrude it downwards and then fill it. And then we're good. Then all my problems are solved. Now, this is all fun and games and simple enough, but we can go further with making the actual waterfall. I spent a very long time thinking about how to do this. So, again, the answer to making something look realistic in 3D easily is more often than not found in your reference. And in this case, is straight up my reference. So I'm going to import this into Blender as a mesh plane. In the shading tab, I'm going to clamp the values so it's black and white. This can then go into the alpha channel, which gets you the frothy bits separated from the rest of the water. At this point you might be thinking, I don't have any of these water textures. I live in London. I can't see anything. I live in a constant shroud of fog. But lucky for you, I've attached the things in the description, so you can use those. Once you have this, you can take your plane and just position it kind of flush against the water model. I've added a few things in the shading tab so it blends in nicely. Adding a bump map usually helps. Now for the actual waterfall part, it's the same-ish process, but we're just working on a tighter angle. So you need to import the waterfall texture, and then you can crop it, so it's just solely the waterfall. Right now it's flat, it doesn't have any shape to it, so we can improve this by adding some edge loops, and moving it so it's a bit more curved. Right click and shade smooth, and this is good. For the material, you can use the exact same setup as the other one, with the exception that you might have to tweak with the color ramp a little bit. Once you have both of these things done, you can just place one on top of the other, and then I think this combines to make a really convincing effect. Adding another chunk of water behind it is kind of the final thing to do. You might have to be a bit careful about how you reposition stuff. Just make sure the water texture just kind of lines up with the top of the mesh. This obviously does have limits. Close-ups aren't going to be that great, so this is more of like something you put in the middle of your scene or the background. So all of this worked on, and what do we have to show for it? We have water. And a week recording a video just to delete all the audio files. So here's an actual scene I've put together with all of this stuff going on. This technique works really well for me, so I hope it works well for someone else. So I'm intending to put more things out here now, just as I've got so much more free time now I've enrolled in university. Yeah, so that's it. I wanted to finish this with a joke, but I'm all dry. Thank you, Reddit, for that one. That's a sentence I don't like saying. Okay, that's it.